reality of, you know, badly treated children. You know, like that's the when you think I'm a good mum, I'm not going to beat them and I'm not going to whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So if society said you're a bad mum, then you'd go and beat them?
No.
Okay.
But you have the standards of how you treat people, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this true standard of treating anyone is God's love, right? And what we're aiming for here is to treat everyone the way God treats everyone. Now, that's going to mean me letting go of a lot of definitions of what's right and actually accepting God's definition of what's right.
What would God's definition be of raising a child? You know, like just the physical day-to-day and the emotional.
Well, how did God raise you? It's an interesting question, though, isn't it? Because how God raised you is how you should raise your children. Good. So God provided an environment where you could thrive. God provided, somebody else said, free will. So God gave you the ability to choose whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted it. What was the correction system God put in place? The law of attraction. So God put in place a correction system, not based on punishment, it's just based on there's consequences to actions that are unloving. It's not a punishment system where I'm going to make, you do one thing wrong and you get punished for 25 others. It's not like that. It's just a correctional system that God put in place to correct you when you've stepped out of the laws. These are the ways these are the things you need to implement with your children. That is what's going to make you a good mum or dad. But in reality, whose child is it? God's. So who's the mum or dad that you're trying to emulate? God. So let's do that. Not society's way. So society will tell you that if you give your child free will, that's a very bad thing. Until they're 20 or 18 or whatever age it is that they've come up with, right?
So AJ, if I go home and I tell my grown-up daughter and son all about what happened here today, I'm going to try and do it in a way that I'm not shoving it down their throats, but I honestly want them to start on the path.
Does God want you to start on the path?
Yes.
How did God lead you to the path?
By somebody telling me about you.
Oh, was it really? Go deeper than that, because there's a lot going on here about that. Was it really that? What was happening in you first?
Okay, I was seeking.
You were seeking truth, were you not?
Yes.
First.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Then somebody told you
Yes.
about the
So I
path.
had the law of attraction, somebody came and told me something and then it went on from there.
Exactly. Exactly. So
So
how is that going to happen with your children? What are they going to probably need to see first?
Your example.
Somebody said the DVDs. Spot on, the transformation in you.
I think they're starting to see that because my daughter actually asked if she could come up and meditate with me the other night.
That's what you need to take
And then
advantage of.
she went downstairs and the next week I said, do you want to come? She said, no, I don't think so, no.
That's all right. Just let the change in you guide them. Right? If they're not asking you, what's God's principle? Ask, you shall receive.
But don't just get stuck. I don't want him to get, look, I'm 51 years old.
But you got an...
It takes me a long time to get here and you're only 30 and I want him to get there before another 20 years.
No, this is emotion in you. There's an emotion. There's an emotion in you, yes. And what's the emotion? I don't want them to have the pain I've had.
Yeah.
But is that free will?
No.
What's free will? They're allowed to choose whatever they want, including the pain I had. That's free will. That's the way God brought you up. God said to you, you're allowed to choose all of these things. I've given you this gift of free will. And but when the child is asking, give them the explanations they need. Sit down with them and watch the DVD or something that explains the whole universe. Let them just think about that. You don't need to actually say much. They will be drawn or not drawn based on And this is how, by the way, any children that pass in the spirit world, this is how they're brought up in the spirit world. They're given choices constantly, and their desire drives what is given to them.
So my best mummy thing I can do for them is just to live my life in the truth.
Live your life in God's truth, change yourself. As you change yourself, automatically certain emotions in them are going to be triggered because mum's changing. Right? They'll trigger certain things inside of them. They will then have to deal with those emotions. They will probably deal with them. They'll probably come to you and say, Mum, gee, you've changed lots. Like, I really love you now. Like, you're so much, like, whatever it is that they're feeling from you. Less pressure, less pressure to conform to what you want. And they'll feel those things and be drawn to it that way. They're not going to be drawn to it by you saying, come here and sit down with me, and I'll just...
No, I've tried that.
It doesn't work.
So I'll just, yeah, okay, I
Doesn't
understand.
I also took back my anger. I owned my anger to my children.
Yeah.
I owned my anger with Jeffrey,
Own
my
up to
eldest
what you've
son.
done. Own up to what you've done.
So with Nicholas, my younger son is 24, he's ferociously angry all the time. I went to him and I said, this is not your anger, Nicholas. This is my anger from when you were tiny little. And my other son, Jeffrey, who's now 28, suffers from depression and anxiety. And when I found the anxiety and the depression in me, I went to him and I said, Jeffrey, this is not yours. This is an imprint from me not being able to deal with my depression and anxiety, and you had no choice. I'm your only parent. You had no choice but to model it on me, and I took it back, and that really helped. It didn't solve the whole problem, but at least opened the gate, and we're talking about it and feeling with each other differently.
Yeah, about an hour ago,
It
AJ
helped.
said something and I thought, I would like to go to my son and say, I am sorry. For
I
how
had to leave my guys in their own space
Yeah.
when I was saying these things, because I had no idea how they would handle it.
Yeah,
So I left
God
them in
took
their
me
own
so
space.
Yeah, yeah. What Jen's done has been really good, actually, because it demonstrates the importance of actually owning these different emotions. You beauty. You got some rain happening.
I'm not scared to own it.
Yep.
I'm scared to put some more in between us.
Yeah.
That they will just say, well, then it is your fault. I'm out of here. You know?
But if you own it and say, like, this is a lot. Yes, it is my fault. It'll just take all the wind out of their sails. And you know, a lot of times antagonism between children and parents is all based around what we as parents do not own. Like, we just do not own enough of what we've done. And if we own it, things change really, really rapidly.